Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is Question Mark Radio. Leave no stone unturned. And I'm your host, Doc Dockery. Good to have you out here tonight. We have more interesting stuff to talk about. As I left off on my introductory episode last week, we'll pick up where I left off with when I was 5 years old. And I had an experience that I didn't remember until I was about 10 years old. But nevertheless, I remembered it. There's something about having a extraterrestrial experience. Most people who are abducted never remember because their memories are erased. It's a method that they use so that we don't remember what we've experienced. And most of the time, it's going to, and if you do remember, it's going to be kind of in a dream state. So you got to be real, very astute. You got to pick up on things. But at any rate, when I was 5, I was born in Chicago, living on the 40th and Prairie, which is on the south side of Chicago. Had a big backyard right by the L. For those of you who don't know what the L is, it's a subway above ground. Okay, it's a train that's on tracks above, and it makes a lot of noise when it's going by. It's really kind of cool. It's like being on a big amusement park ride, roller coaster. Anyway, I used to go out and play up under the L, and I had a big backyard, pretty nice sized backyard. And one time I was back there and I noticed that I thought it was what they call a nightclub, because my aunt was always talking about going to the nightclub, and I wanted to go too, because there was dancing and there was people there, and one of her friends actually was Billie Holiday, the blues singer. Anyway, they said, no, we'll take you when you're old enough. We'll take you to the club, okay? And I said, okay. So that one night I went out the back door. I guess I wanted to see if I could find the club. I'm 5 years old, and in the backyard there appeared the club. So I thought, there appeared the club, and there were stairs going up, and it was an entrance way, and there was stuff going on, and of course I thought I was just dreaming. And for the most part, I was. Well, we fast forward about 5 years, when I'm about 10 years old, and my parents had moved to Racine, Wisconsin. My dad got a job in American Motors and making Ramblers, okay? So, at this particular point, I had not given any thought to anything that was going through my head at 5 years old. I didn't know anything going on. Well, about 3:30 in the morning, 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the morning, I got a visitation from an entity, which now, since I've done research for so many years, I believe it's a entity from inner Earth. Oh, we'll get into that also later down the line about the inner Earth civilization that lives right beneath our feet. Oh yeah, right beneath our feet, and there's a lot of evidence to that. But we'll get into that in another day. Now, at 10 years old, I'm sleeping in my own bed. We only had a 2-bedroom apartment. There was 3 of us. My 2 sisters slept in one of the half of the bunk beds. I slept on the other half by myself in my own bed. Well, I was awakened at about 3 or 3:30 in the morning. And there was, when I opened my eyes and I looked up, there was the most hideous looking being looking directly into my face, sitting on my chest, okay? And it had these big, weird looking, it reminded me of, the only thing I could describe it at the time when I was that young was I had been to the movies and I had seen a couple of these different kinds of ancient movies. Anyway, one of them had a gargoyle, and this is what this looked like to me, a gargoyle. It didn't have wings or anything. It just had that ugly and nasty looking gargoyle face. And it scared the living crap out of me. I mean, for real. I was so scared. I was just shaking. I was just vibrating and shaking. I pulled the covers over my head, over my face, and I waited there and I waited there and I waited there until I just peeked my eye open and I could see a little bit of the daylight. But when I saw that, I figured it was okay for me to pull my covers back. And by the way, when this entity was sitting on my chest, I was trying to communicate with my sisters. I was trying to scream, but I was paralyzed. I could not move. I could not talk. No talk. Could not talk. It's like my vocal cords had been cut. And so when I finally woke up and the entity was gone, there was relief, definitely a sigh of relief, but I was still very scared, and I didn't sleep well ever until we left that place, as I was always afraid that this entity would show up again. Well, I didn't know anything about pretty much anything, spiritual, religious, anything, but then years later, when I started to read, I found out about the Incubus and the Succubus. Oh yeah, entities that come in your spirits or entities that come in your sleep and have their way with you. Yes, beings, entities having sex with you. Yes, this is what happened. I didn't figure it out for a long time, but it is definitely what happened. And so, being only 10 years old, I didn't get it, but now that I've done the research, I started to understand this goes very deep. It goes very deep because when you read about this incubus and the succubus, one's a male entity, one's a female entity, and they'll come to you and actually will take your seed or plant their seed in you. And it has been told, or has it been folklore, that they would get you pregnant and they would take the sperm of men and impregnate, you know, that way. So it's quite a tale, but once you start reading this, and it comes up in a lot of different religious texts under different types of guise, different types of disguise. So if you're paying attention, you kind of get the grasp that this could be possible. As I said, a lot of things I thought was not possible were definitely not possible on this planet in my life have changed me because of what I've experienced. And as I said before, I know there's a lot of people out there that have experienced some of the same things, if not more. I've experienced much more, but this is just the tip of the iceberg. When I was just young and just starting to get these experiences, and I did not know why they were happening to me or how to handle them. Uh, like I said, the entity coming from inner Earth was pretty traumatic. Uh, Now, going ahead, I had said before I was going to talk about the abduction and also how it happened. I believe, now this is just my belief, or not my belief, my feeling is that I had been abducted when I was about 5 years old, or maybe even younger. But I say around 5 years old. And I do believe that nightclub that I thought I was going on to was actually a craft. It was actually some type of craft. Um, when I got to be the age of 13, we moved actually from Racine, Wisconsin to a place called North Chicago, Illinois. It was just south of the Wisconsin border. And I was 13. I remember it very vividly because we moved on my 13th birthday, so no party for me. But I remember it very, very well. And I thought my episodes of any kind of, extraterrestrial, this or that, and I didn't call it extraterrestrial at the time. I just call it the creepy thing that came from down there, that was on my chest. And I thought it was all over. Well, there is something that I've learned that if you've been abducted, then you have a background in your family of abductions. It's in your lineage. It is in your family background. You're not the only person. If you're thinking that you're the only person in your family that's ever got abducted, no. Like I said before, most of the abductions, you are your memories erased. It's just like, for instance, when we are spirits before we enter these bodies. Okay, these avatars, I call them meat suits, whatever you want to call it. But we make an agreement to do certain things when we get here on Earth. But we have a cloak of amnesia. We have a cloak of we forget everything, and that's on purpose because we couldn't do our job as light workers, and we'll get into that also down the line. We are all light workers, whether you realize that or not. We have a job to do. We agreed to that job before we got into these bodies. So, I thought things were over. They were far from over. Far, 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 far from over. Because more things started to happen to me. For instance, I was just standing on a corner of 12th and Jackson in my hometown at the time of North Chicago, and one starry night, nice clear skies out, and I seen a object. It looked like a streak of light, but it came down quick. It stopped and it shot up like that. And I never seen anything do that, any kind of light do that. So I started thinking, wow, that was kind of strange. Didn't think anything of it. Again, I mean, in the back of my mind, obviously, I was thinking, what was that? That was kind of strange. Well, in 1976, I moved to Kenosha, Wisconsin. I myself had gotten a job working at American Motors. I was about 20, 21, somewhere around there. So I'm living in Kenosha. And in Kenosha, the biggest thing happened to me. Clear as could be, no mistake about it. There were witnesses or a witness with me when this occurred. Matter of fact, the witness was the first to see this object, this UFO. And believe me, that is quite a story. And I will be telling you this story in excerpts and little pieces because it's quite a long story, but quite an interesting one. And I think you're going to be very interested in hearing the rest. As Paul Harvey would say, the rest of the story. Well, it's been my pleasure having you here. Thanks so much for stopping in and saying hello and checking me out. I'm just developing this channel right now, so please bear with me. I have some things that I have to smooth over. If you let me know if you can subscribe on my channel, because I'm having a problem with knowing if that's really working or not. I've tried to put a subscribe button on there. There is a subscribe button on here. I'm not sure it's working. I'm hoping it is. If it's not, please, somebody out there let me know, because I definitely want you all to be able to subscribe, ring the notification bell so you'll know when other episodes are coming up. and also keep in touch. I'll be doing a lot of stuff. This is just the beginning. I'm just developing this, so I look forward to getting you some interesting content, and also being able to in the future being able to reach out, contact you. I'm going to be getting a computer going where I can, answer you back and see your comments. So I'm going to get going. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend wherever you are, whatever part of the world you are in. It has been my pleasure. Remember, keep an open mind and leave no stone unturned. Good night, everybody.